I've been doing process improvement for 15 years, different industries. I think it's always interesting when I meet. So the thing that I've always noticed is that process improvement in a kind of localized facility. Let's just say you're an industrial engineer, you're in a facility, you're trying to introduce Lean and Six Sigma. That always has its challenges. And I think the interesting thing is, you get it from all different directions. Different groups in the company, different roles, have different issues that may affect your ability to roll out process improvement. All these situations, all these challenges with different groups, and I think it should really amplify when you're trying to do process improvement and kind of roll it out over multiple facilities. So, what I tried to do conceptually here is kind of describe what I think are kind of the key ingredients to successful continuous process improvement or process excellence. So, I think you don't have to do this very long before you realize that active sponsorship for management is such a key ingredient. And I've been one of those supercharged IEs who thought I could go against the grain, and it doesn't matter what management thinks. I can make this work. I can get people influenced. We can have success and just trickle up. Another the idea of planting the seed of kind of this cascading Kaizen was really thinking about the future Kaizen events. It's real easy to try to create kind of a silo of, hey, we're going to do a Kaizen event. We're only going to have people from this particular department. Everybody else can just watch what we did. But the idea here was to try to maybe get some associated either upstream or downstream participants so that they're getting familiarized and kind of create some camaraderie with the people in this particular department. This was a group that I worked with at the Red Cross. And the thing I always kind of found was interesting is everybody was so excited, during the Kaizen event. But if you took pictures of the group during the event, it's almost like a Kaizen event it's almost like a good book. It has a plot is traveling along, and then there's probably going to be some low point in the event. It's going to be a challenge that the group has to overcome. And it's like if you had a book that just went straight, steady on through, and didn't have kind of that learning with the team, it wouldn't really be considered a success. So this team, I just kind of thought was a neat picture. Their faces, like I said, at different points in the Kaizen, they weren't as happy as they were in this picture. So I guess, with so much experience in the room, I was going to ask for questions and comments. I don't know if it's going to eat into the topics of the breakout sessions or
maybe about 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask Brian if we're talking too much about what's going to be on a breakout session, we'll kind of utilize the breakout session to kind of get more feedback from people. But I don't know. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions or anything that you think with the model that I kind of described it might benefit from, or has anybody done, when you've done Kaizen events, have you guys kind of, does the makeup of the team, do you guys strategically think about that aspect? I was just kind of interested to see if people could kind of relate to this.
Frontline team members involved. So with having said that, we have a little skit we're going to do first before we actually go into it.
That won't work.
We don't know how to do skits. Why are we doing this?
But we have a Kaizen, and I really think it will help the entire company if we can get everybody involved.
Now, my job for
You better hurry up, I got
Well, you guys just hear me out because I know it's going to work. It's going to be great for the company.
We've done this before. It never works.
Now, let me ask you, is this familiar to anyone? Anyone? Maybe a better question is, has anyone never experienced it? No, I think we had a pretty good discussion and everything that everyone's saying. I'm like, you know what? I can relate to everything that the team member was saying up here. Even when we start first with identifying some of the natural leaders. And identifying those leaders, we were looking for people that are risk takers. People that are open-minded, because if you have someone in there that's constantly just thinking there's one way, well, we've done that before. It ain't gonna work. I changed it after 50 years. You're never gonna get that. So you need people that's open-minded, people that's willing to take a risk. And plus we need people to give them the opportunity to speak. I was telling the team up here about, there was a Kaizen that I was over probably about maybe a year and a half, a little longer ago. And there's one guy named Chuck, been with the company almost 40 years. And at that particular time, I've been with the company about 6 years. you know, I can count on one hand how many times I heard Chuck speak. So I said, you know what, I want to have Chuck on the team. I tell you, when I got Chuck in the room, started talking to him, I had to ask Chuck to stop talking to give other members of the team a chance to speak. Then after everyone had left, I asked Chuck, I said, I've never heard you talk so much. What was it about this Kaizen that got you engaged? He's like, well, most of the time, you know, people just talking. No one ever asked me what I really thought. I mean, it was just a natural eye-opening. So, you know, I definitely tried to make sure he was part of the team. Over here, of course, we talked about taking initiative. You don't want someone who's just going to just, you know, when the line goes down, just goes off to their little area, don't do anything. You know, I was talking about giving an example that I'm looking for someone when that line goes down, do you have that person cleaning and helping someone out? Or are they going to the break room just, hey, you know, let me know when the line comes back up, then I come back in there. The other one that we had over here, we're talking about some of the common challenges. You know, hey, why should I get involved? What's in it for me? You know, one of the most biggest challenges we talk about is the buy-in. You can have the best idea in the world. You know what? I know this is going to work, Greg. I know it's going to work. Greg is looking at me like, you know, yeah, really? Is it really going to work, Diego? Come on. We've tried this before. I've seen this movie. Can we just move on? It ain't going to work. So that's definitely key. And past disappointment. We've all had projects that we've been on before. You know, I'll be the first one to admit, I have definitely had some failures. But, you know, you move past those. You learn something. You apply the lessons learned. Then you just moved on. The team also talked about time. I don't know about you guys' organization, but in the world of Coca-Cola, time is definitely not our friend. When you can produce 3,000 cases in 1 hour, definitely not your friend. So time is always a challenge in how you go about managing that. What we have here, I already talked about that, why you want to change. And of course, there's always that resistance to change, whether people feel as if, hey, you know what, are they trying to eliminate a job? Are they trying to get me to work more or want to pay me less? I know these managers are getting these big bonuses, so why should I want to do that? So there's always that, you know, that resistance to change that you have to overcome. If I start talking about something that none of you have heard about, just please wave your hand so I can check your pulse, make sure you're still listening. Best practices for engagement. One of the most critical things that the team talked about is clearly defining the problem. I got invited to work on this team. If we had this huge form that was like literally 30 pages long, going through about 6 different departments, found out they'd been working on this change for 4 years. They invited me to the team. And literally the next day we had a new process of being rolled out. Then somebody came back and was like, Diego, why didn't you help us earlier? Well, first of all, I didn't know what you were working on, and no one had invited me. You guys had this group where you thought you had the answers to everything. I could have easily have shown you a way had you got people involved instead of having that group thing, because they all had the group thing. I don't know. No offense to the engineers, but I've seen what happens when you get a bunch of engineers in a room together. I've seen it. No offense. Right here, move all the naysayers. Oh, wow. I mean, you can't remove them all. When we say remove it, well, the better thing is, when you have someone saying it won't be done, why can't it be done? Well, okay, you're saying it can't be done. Well, what would you do? This is what we need to get at. Well, if you're saying it won't be done, bring some ideas to the table. Get some involvement from them, because, you know, be part of the solution, not part of the problem. It's easy to say it ain't going to work. But, you know, become part of the team. Help us to make it better. And then you'll see how we can succeed as a team. And most of all, respect. One of the things I was telling the team is, you know, when having a group, sometimes you're going to have people in there that's going to try to overpower the room. Especially if you have, like, member management there at a certain level. Oh, that ain't going to work. Oh, we tried this. I've actually asked people to leave the room before. And yeah, because I could have gone down there, well, what do you think? But by knowing this individual and knowing how the team felt about him, sometimes it's best to remove that obstacle, you know, at that particular point. And then once you remove them, it's like everyone becomes open and ready to talk about the problem with no fear that, hey, I don't have to worry about this person going to say, let me just be open. Because then everyone's going to do this. I know I'm going to get respect for what I say. It's all about getting the right people and listening to the voice of the customer. We can all talk about things, but hey, we can be doing all this fabulous stuff, but is this what the customer wants? We can do all these great things, but is this value added to the customer? Because we have to make sure that you're bringing value and listen to that voice of the customer. Because the one thing I can speak on personally in this new group that I'm part of, yeah, being a part of the Operation Excellence group is great, but at the end of the day, we have to be able to show value. And we show that value by delivering things that we know that our senior executives want to have fixed. And over here, what we learned. I'm going to say this last thing, this intellectual judo. I'm going to say this, I'm going to let Mike talk about it. The one thing the team found out is, I don't care what industry you in, we all have issues. We got a series of issues when we collectively have issues. And people are obstacles and solutions. And then Mike, you're going to have to come talk to the team about this intellectual judo you were telling the team about.
Okay, well, that goes along with your naysayers. Before you remove them, if they say, well, it won't work, you say, why? So you start asking your whys. They say, well, we don't have enough time. You immediately recycle that into a brainstorm and say, okay, let's brainstorm how we can get more time, or how we can get it done in less time. They say, well, that costs money, we don't have the money. Okay, how can we get it? Let's brainstorm, how can we get it done cheaper? Or say, well, the top management will never go for that. Okay, let's brainstorm all the ways we're going to get Diego, the top management, to agree with this idea. And then we just start working on that, and it has worked.
We had fun. We actually learned a lot from this thing. So.
Wow!